She's on a mission to grow the game of baseball for girls across Canada, one city at a time. Joining me now is Dana Bookman, the founder of Canadian Girls Baseball. Dana, thanks for joining me.
Thanks for having me.
So, how are you doing? It looks great with your background. The sun's out and you're outside.
Yep, outside filming some videos for our virtual baseball season.
Congratulations. The theme and, where the conversation is going today, what I wanted to talk to you about is just building community. Can you talk to me a little bit about the gap that you saw with girls and baseball in Canada and, what it's been like building community around these girls and providing access to them with sports and resources, baseball resources?
Sure. Well, we've spoken before about my daughter who wanted to play with other girls. She was the only girl in her league, in her age division. There were 400 kids, and she was the only girl. And when I looked for somewhere that she could play with other girls, because sports is very social, I couldn't find anything. And in that first season, I just put it out to my friends to ask their daughters to join us, and 44 girls came out. And so right there was the sense that we didn't have the community in baseball for girls that we needed. And, 1 year later, we grew to 350 girls. That's an 840% growth in a sport in 1 year, in one tiny pocket of one really big city. And it showed me that there's so much need for baseball for girls, but for all of the aspects that it brings, and community is one of those things. And I mean, I've not only seen it since then in Toronto, but there hasn't been the growth. That's my dog.
I was going to say, he wants to get his voice heard too. That's fine.
He agrees. He really likes baseball. But so they're just it's still, there's so much room for growth and for building that community, and it is much more than a sport. It's a family, it's a team, and you're learning so many things, and not just about the sport itself.
How has the sports community or being involved in sports impact your daughter? I know she's obviously a growing and very talented baseball player, and so how has she been benefiting from participating in the sports community?
So it has given her so much confidence. She was ready to quit at the age of 6, and now she's 10. And last year she was invited to, practice with the Ontario women's team. They have an under 16 team, and she went out and played with them. And just that moment for her, and the fact that she could be on that path if that's something that she wanted, was something that was so empowering for her. And it, not only that, but she gets to play with her friends and her teammates, and they've had Zoom calls during COVID, and it creates a whole sense of community for her and an entire group of girls who, never would have found each other, but also never would have had the confidence to continue a game that they love. And for her, those pieces, whether she sticks with baseball or not, and I always tell her it's an option, it's not a must do, but whether she sticks with it or not, those pieces will carry with her for the rest of her life.
For someone like you who there's no template to grow the programs that you're growing, but you did see that there was a gap, what has the journey been like building relationships with other sports organizations or other leaders in the baseball community?
I think it hasn't always been easy or perfect. People aren't welcoming us with open arms everywhere. And it was a slow growth. Right now, we're very, very big. And so I have a bit more power behind my words because I have numbers. But especially at the beginning, I mean, years ago, I called Jays Care and I called MLB and I said, well, we've got 44 girls playing. Like, this is a miracle. I've invented a new sport, basically. And now I see why. But at the same time, we are one of the largest girls baseball organizations in the world now, according to MLB. And that gives us some strength because there is more room to grow. And people are now paying attention and recognizing that girls are half of the population and women are half of the population. And we need to engage the entire population in the sport, and not just, boys and men, and not just watching it, but also, we've made sure that we have female coaches and we have women who are umpiring. We, are a women-led organization. So we're trying to show girls that they can be any part of this game and any part of this baseball community. And I feel like a lot of the organizations that we work with, including MLB, and Jay's Care are on board with that messaging, which, carries us further and will carry our girls who play with us further. And it is about creating that community.
And talk about creating that community. You have umpires who are female, coaches who are female. What are they saying about the opportunity to be a part of Canadian girls baseball and giving back as role models or mentors to the younger girls?
That's a huge part of what we're doing. A lot of it is about role models. It is about believing that you can be it because you see it. And a lot of our coaches are from provincial teams or the women's national team, which many people don't even know exist. But we have a women's national baseball team, and those players remember what it's like. And I remember for my daughter, who's not one of those people, but that when she signed up for baseball, somebody said to her, tell her she's so brave because she's the only girl. And I don't think that she or any of our coaches should have had to be brave in order to play a sport they love, and shouldn't have had to be the only one to persevere and to stick through it despite, all of the challenges. That they should have had an open place to play. And I think that those coaches now are happy that they are able to pass on a sport they love to girls in bigger numbers, and that, that will strengthen the competitive side of things, because the more there are to choose from, the more options there are as you get older. The more, now we've started a women's league, so girls don't have to stop playing when they age out of our system. They can keep playing because it's really just about the love of the game and that sense of, having a group of people that love something that you love. So we're trying to create this giant community of mentors, coaches, umpires, office staff, and not just women. We're not excluding men, but, mom coaches, volunteer coaches, staff coaches. Like, we're just trying to engage as many women as possible and girls and show them that this is something that we can all be involved in any part of it.
I see your son on the trampoline, as a mom of two and a woman who's growing her own business as an entrepreneur. Where do you find time, or what do you like to do to relax, or, do you lean on your, who's in your tribe in terms of your support system to help you kind of get through the days?
Relax. That was funny.
Have you found a moment to just take it all in?
I think that, like any mom in any job, there's so many stresses raising kids, especially now during COVID, like trying to work with them through their school day, make sure they get enough outdoor time. As you saw my son on the trampoline, that's part of like his mandated outdoor time every day. I don't think there's a lot of time to relax, and especially now building, trying to keep our organization alive is stressful, and it's a lot of juggling and a lot of waiting, and relaxation's not such a thing.
But do you ever find a moment where you could just step back and breathe a little bit? Or is it always go, go, go?
It's not always go, go, go. I definitely step back and breathe. Yes. And I get to play with my kids, and, we are riding bikes and going outside and playing basketball. And for me, that's, especially now that the weather's nicer, that's what it's all about.
And where else do you see opportunity for Canadian girls baseball? I know recently I did see your article that was written by a writer that works for the MLB, and I know you're holding meetings with different organizations to really grow your programs. But where else do you see opportunity for growing the game and making sure girls have access to baseball?
I've been lucky to be dialed in now to the MLB community, not just in Toronto, but the New York office and different teams around the United States. So there are opportunities presenting themselves. We're working on a partnership now with Baseball Ontario, even if we're not running the programs, just to make sure that girls programming is a possibility across the province. And then I get calls every day. Like, somebody from Alberta just emailed me, somebody from BC emailed me. There's a call for it and there's a need for it. It's just how quickly can we expand, because beyond that, we also are in talks with San Francisco and New York. And it's just, I'm still one person. We're a small, low budget organization. We do have one staff person and some part-time staff people other than our coaches, but it's just limitations on, capacity, and we want to make sure the programs are a good quality. So it's figuring out all of those pieces. which leads to the no relaxation.
Well, I think you're doing amazing work. I've always been a cheerleader of Canadian girls baseball from the first time we met, probably about 2 years ago. I know it's a lot of hard work, but we need more people like you, especially women who are really see the issue around diversity in sports and are actually doing something about it. I hear from a lot of people. There's a lot of talk, but there's not people doing, like, they're not just going to pick up and say, "Let me solve this issue." And I know you're doing it at a grassroots level, but it's obviously growing, probably beyond what you thought it was going to be like. So keep on going. I wish I could like put together an evening or something for women once COVID is done who are in business, because I think we all need a big hug. We all need a glass of wine, and we all need to be around each other to inspire and motivate each other. So thanks so much. And before we go, where can people find more about Canadian girls baseball?
They can find us on our website, CanadianGirlsBaseball.com, and also all over social media on Instagram and Facebook, it's Canadian Girls Baseball, and on Twitter, it's CGB League. And they can find us there. And thank you for inviting me to talk to you. I always love it, and I appreciate it.
Thanks, Dana.